The number on the screen is $19,000. You made that in 90 minutes, 90 minutes. You're sitting in a bedroom that still has a Madden NFL 2019 poster on the wall, wearing a hoodie with a mustard stain on the sleeve, and your account balance says $19,000. Your hands are shaking, not from fear, and worse, certainty. The absolute bone-deep certainty that you have finally figured it out. That all of it, the rejection emails, the silence at dinner, the cousin who called you a degenerate gambler at Thanksgiving, all of it was just the setup for this moment. You screenshot the number, you almost text it to your dad, you don't, not yet, you'll wait until it's bigger, it is 11:47 in the morning. The market closes at 4 p.m. By 3:52 that $19,000 will be gone, all of it. Plus $6,000 more that you don't have. But you don't know that yet, right now you know everything. Let's go back, you are 18 years old in the summer that feels like a sentence. You have a business administration degree from Millfield Community College, and yes, they do call it a university on the diploma, but the diploma is printed on paper so thin you can see your hand through it. Your parents paid $40,000 for it. They borrowed that money against the house. The actual house. The one with the cracked driveway and the kitchen faucet that's been dripping since 2017. Your checking account has $847 in it. Not $850, $847. Because you bought a breakfast sandwich on the way home from graduation and you were too depressed to round up in your head. Your bedroom smells like old carpet and ambition that's starting to curdle. There are 3 football trophies on the shelf, Most Improved, Junior Varsity 2018, and they are the last evidence that anyone ever had high expectations for you. Trophies don't know that. They just sit there, gleaming blissfully unaware of the rejection email from the regional accounting firm that arrived at 8:14 a.m. this morning. That's number 31. You will get to 47. Your dad works doubles at Holloway Logistics. That's the warehouse on Route 9 with the broken sign that's been missing the L since February. He leaves at 5:15 a.m. You hear the truck engine turn over. You're usually still awake. He comes home smelling like diesel and a specific kind of tiredness that has no name, but you recognize it in his shoulders before he even gets through the door. He doesn't ask about the job search anymore. That conversation had a natural death somewhere around week 3 and you both silently agreed to bury it. Your mom still makes dinner for 3. She leaves yours covered on the stove. It's a small mercy and also the saddest thing in your life. You apply to everything: sales coordinator, administrative assistant, brand ambassador, which you eventually discover means standing outside a grocery store handing out yogurt samples. You apply to that too. You get 3 interviews in 6 weeks. One is clearly a multi-level marketing company that you clock in the first 4 minutes. One goes well, you think, they say they'll call, they don't. One ends when you realize the interviewer is reading from a printed sheet and has mispronounced your last name 3 times and will never, under any circumstances, hire someone whose parents borrowed against their house to pay for a degree from a place that calls itself a university. 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday, you can't sleep. You're lying in the blue glow of your phone watching a video of a 24-year-old named Bryce, of course his name is Bryce, who is sitting in what appears to be a Lamborghini Huracan, explaining how he made $11,000 in a single afternoon trading options on a pharmaceutical stock. You tell yourself it's a scam. You watch 4 more videos. By sunrise, you've opened a Robinhood account. The number you deposit is $600. You keep $247 in the checking account because some last rational thread of your brain insists on a floor. $600 goes into Robinhood and the app gives you a little confetti animation. The confetti is green and gold. It falls in slow motion. It's designed to feel like a celebration, like you've already won something just by showing up. The slot machine has welcomed you to the floor. Please enjoy your complimentary drink. You tell yourself this is educational. You are studying the market. If you lose $600, you lose $600. You've wasted more than that on a semester of introduction to macroeconomics taught by a professor who was clearly fawning it in from a beach house. You spend 3 days watching. You read Reddit threads. You find a Discord server with 40,000 members and a pinned message that says not financial advice in letters so large they've clearly accepted that everyone will ignore them. You watch how prices move in the morning. That first hour after open, the chaos, the volume spikes, the way a stock will rip 8% in 4 minutes on no news and then bleed back to flat. It doesn't look random. That is the most dangerous thing about it. It looks like there's a pattern. You pick your first trade the way all first trades are picked, half research, half gut feeling dressed up as research. A mid-cap semiconductor company that beat earnings estimates the night before. The pre-market is up 4%. You buy 200 shares at $11.20. Your heart rate does something you weren't expecting. The position doesn't move much the first day. You check it 47 times. You fall asleep with your phone in your hand, the app open. Day 2 it's up 6%. You resist selling. Day 4 you sell at $14.80. You made $720 on a $600 position in 4 days. The Robinhood confetti falls again. This time it feels earned. You start a trading journal. Actual spiral notebook, actual pen, the way you read the serious traders do it. You write down the entry, the thesis, the exit, the outcome. You note what worked. You write the word discipline in the margin and underline it twice. You make $2,200 in your first full week of trading. You are 18 years old and you've made more in 1 week than your dad makes in 2. Here's what nobody tells you about beginner's luck. It feels exactly like skill. Fact that the market was in a low volatility uptrend and a golden retriever with a brokerage account could have made money that week is not information that is available to you. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know that there is an ocean of it. You know something they don't. Your mom who stopped asking, your dad who works doubles. You have cracked something they can't even see. This is the most dangerous feeling in the world. You need more capital. $1,300 in your account is fine, but $1,300 doesn't change your life. It doesn't pay back the $40,000 borrowed against the house. It doesn't make your dad stop working doubles. You tell your parents you're doing freelance financial consulting. Your mom seems relieved that you have something going on. Your cousin Danny is 26. He works in HVAC, has a truck, and operates under the genuine belief that family means something. When you tell him you're starting a small business, a financial services LLC, specifically, and you need $3,000 as a short-term loan, he writes you a check from his personal account without a written agreement because he's the kind of person who still does things without written agreements. You use it to buy more contracts. The lie is small. It isn't. You start trading on margin. Robinhood gives you 2x buying power, which sounds like a gift until you understand it's a leash that can choke you from both ends. Your positions are bigger. Your wins are bigger. Your 3 a.m. habit solidifies. Pre-market futures, Asian markets, news from Reuters. A second monitor you bought used from Facebook Marketplace for $60 because real traders have 2 screens. You miss your cousin's wedding, not Danny's, his older brother Marcus, who gets married in October. The Korean market opens at 8 p.m. Eastern and you have a position in a chip stock tied to a major earnings release. You text a congratulations and say you have food poisoning. You don't feel great about it. The biotech play happens on a Tuesday in November. You've been watching a mid-stage clinical trial readout, a drug called something unpronounceable that analysts project could get fast-track FDA designation. The options are cheap. The upside is 300% if the trial data is positive. You put $7,000 in calls expiring in 2 weeks. The data releases at 6 a.m. It's negative. The stock opens down 73%. You are awake when it happens. You watch the number change. Takes 11 minutes. In 11 minutes you lose $5,400. Your hands go completely still. You expected panic. What you get instead is a strange, cold calm. You close the laptop. You eat a bowl of instant noodles at 6:23 a.m. They taste like sodium and poor decision. You make the money back over 3 weeks by grinding smaller setups, taking singles instead of swings, being relentlessly disciplined in a way that feels like punishment and probably is. You tell nobody about the loss. You convince yourself that volatility is just part of the game. Volatility is not part of the game. Volatility is the game, you just don't speak the language yet. You discover 0 DTE options in January. 0 days to expiration. Contracts that live and die within a single trading session. They are, and there's no charitable way to say this, gambling dressed in the language of finance, and wearing a blazer so it can get into the nicer casinos. The risk-reward is theoretically infinite in both directions. In practice, the direction that happens more often is the wrong one. But the stories on the forums. Guy turns $500 into $12,000 in a morning. Another one takes $1,500 to $40,000 on a Fed announcement. The screenshots are everywhere, account statements with green numbers so large they look fake because sometimes they are. You paper trade them for exactly 11 days. That is not enough. The morning of the blow-up is a Wednesday. Pre-market is calm. You've identified a setup. The S&P futures have been compressing for 3 days in a tight range, and you've read enough about volatility contractions to know that compressions expand. You don't know which direction. You go long because the economic data the day before was positive and you're feeling it. You buy call options on the SPY, the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. You spend $4,000, all of it. At 9:47 a.m. the market rips higher on a surprise jobs number. By 11:14 a.m. you have $19,000. You remember this moment, right? $19,000, the shaking hands, the certainty. The photo you almost send your dad. Here's what happens at 11:15 a.m. You don't sell. Because $19,000 is not the number. The number is something rounder, something larger, something that means something. $25,000, $30,000. You've watched this setup before. It runs to the close. You hold. At 12:03 p.m. a Federal Reserve official makes an off-script comment about inflation that the financial media characterizes as hawkish. You will read this word many times in the next 6 hours. The market reads it in about 4 seconds. The SPY drops 1.2% in 8 minutes. Your calls, short-dated, sensitive to direction, already past peak delta, collapse. Not decline, collapse. The speed of it is architectural, like watching a building come down in a controlled demolition, each floor giving way in sequence, so fast and so total that by the time you're processing what's happening it's already happened. You close the position at 12:41 p.m. Your account shows negative $2,200. The math: $4,000 in, $19,000 peak, $0 at close, minus $2,200 margin call, plus the $4,000 you actually spent, your negative $6,200 to the brokerage. Robinhood locks you out. There is, as noted, no confetti animation for this. You sit in your chair for a long time. The room is very quiet. It is 1:04 p.m. on a Wednesday in January, and you are 20 years old, and your net worth is approximately negative $9,200, and somewhere in a warehouse on Route 9 your father is working the second half of a double shift. You do not cry. You just sit there in the blue-white glow of a locked brokerage app. And the silence is the loudest thing you have ever heard. Get a job offer in February. Call center. Customer service for a regional insurance company. $14.50 an hour. 40 hours a week. Full benefits after 90 days. The office is in a beige building off the interstate with a parking lot that has more cracks in it than the regional accounting firm's confidence in your future. The cubicle smells like burned microwave popcorn and the specific spiritual resignation of people who have decided that this is fine. You accept it. You show up. You are professionally pleasant for 11 days. On day 12 you do not go in, you do not call, you do not email. You sit at your desk at 8:47 a.m. in the same hoodie with the mustard stain, and you open a new brokerage account, Webble this time because Robinhood is a closed door, and you deposit $300. It's birthday money. $20 here, $40 there, a $50 from your grandmother who still writes checks by hand. You deposit it into a brokerage account and you make a decision. You are going to learn this correctly, or you are going to destroy yourself trying. Those are the only two options now. There is no call center, there is no door behind you, there is just the screen and the market and the specific madness of choosing to go back into the thing that already broke you once. Most people would not make this choice. You are not most people. Whether that's a strength or a pathology you honestly cannot say. Maybe it's both, maybe it's always both. You don't trade for 90 days. 90 days of paper trading, simulated positions, no real money, results that matter only as data. It's the financial equivalent of hitting a punching bag instead of a person. You build the muscle without the stakes, and every day you wake up and do it anyway, even though it feels like practicing swimming in a parking lot. You spend those 90 days studying things you should have studied before you ever deposited $600. Market microstructure. How institutional orders move prices. The difference between retail sentiment and what the big money is actually positioning for. Order flow, volume profile, the specific geometry of how price moves when it's being accumulated versus when it's being distributed. You learn that the market is not random. You also learn that it is not predictable. These two facts coexist, and holding both at once, without resolving the tension, without cheating toward false certainty in either direction, is the single hardest cognitive task you will ever perform. You keep a lost journal. Every mistake, paper trade or reel, goes in it. In pen, not pencil. Pen because the point is that it hurts a little to write it down and stay with it instead of erasing it. Chased the breakout, missed the entry by 40 cents, bought the top. Got greedy on the close, held through earnings, gave back 3 days of gains in one candle. Moved my stop. Classic. Never move the stop. You develop one setup. One, not five, not a toolkit. One configuration of price, volume, and market structure that you understand better than anyone you've personally encountered, because you have reviewed 600 examples of it across 8 months of charts, and you know exactly what it looks like when it works, and exactly what it looks like when it's failing, and that distinction, that granular, personal, hard-won distinction, is the only edge you actually have. You are not smarter than the hedge funds. You are not faster than the algorithms. You are simply more patient than your own worst instincts. That took 2 years of public humiliation to build. It is worth every cent. You deposit the $300 into real trading in month 4. Month 5 it's $300 to $1,100. Month 7 $1,100 to $3,400. Month 10 $3,400 to $11,000. Month 14 grinding, disciplined, single setup, lost journaling, no social life to speak of, friends who have stopped inviting you places because you always decline. A sleep schedule calibrated entirely around market hours, $11,000 to $28,000. You've been watching a macro setup for 6 weeks. A specific convergence, the dollar strengthening against a basket of currencies in a pattern that historically precedes a rotation out of growth stocks into value. It's not complicated, it's not secret, it's available in the data if you know what you're looking for and you have the patience to wait for it to fully form instead of anticipating it. You wait. The setup triggers on a Thursday morning, not explosively, quietly. The way real moves often begin. The volume is there, the structure is there. You check your criteria one by one methodically, the way a pilot runs a checklist before takeoff, not because they've forgotten the steps but because discipline is not about memory, it's about ritual. You size up, not recklessly, precisely. Position size calculated as a percentage of account, risk defined before entry, stop loss placed at the level that proves the thesis wrong, not at the level that feels emotionally bearable. Those are different levels. You learn that the expensive way. You hold for 3 sessions. Over 3 days the position moves in your favor with the slow, grinding certainty of something inevitable. You don't check it every 4 minutes. You check it at open, at midday, at close. You do not move your stop. You let the trade breathe. On the 3rd session you close it. $34,000 profit. You sit in your childhood bedroom. The football trophies are still on the shelf. The carpet still smells like carpet. Outside, a neighbor's dog is barking at something, and somewhere a few blocks over a car alarm goes off for 30 seconds and then stops. No confetti, no Lamborghini, no one to call, just the number on the screen and the absolute silence of having done something completely alone that nobody believed you could do, including yourself. You close the laptop. You sit in the dark for a while. It's enough. Your phone buzzes on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks later. Danny. Hey man, I heard you're doing well with stocks. Any tips? I got like 5K I want to put somewhere. Lol, you read it twice. Danny, who lent you money from his personal account. Danny, who told your aunt at Christmas that you'd gone off the deep end with day trading. Danny, who used the word degenerate in a family group chat and didn't delete it. You don't respond immediately. You make coffee first. That same week, your old college roommate Tyler, who got the corporate job, the one with the salary and the 401k matching and the LinkedIn posts about exciting new opportunities, sends you a direct message asking if you'd be willing to manage a small amount of his savings. He phrases it carefully, diplomatically, the way someone who has been quietly pitying you for 2 years phrases something when the power dynamic has unexpectedly shifted. And then your dad calls, not a text. He leaves a voicemail because you don't pick up. You're in the middle of watching a setup develop and you don't break focus for anything during market hours, not anymore. The voicemail is 38 seconds long. He says he heard from your mom that you've been doing well with the investing thing. He says he doesn't really understand it. He says if you have time, maybe you could explain it to him sometime. He says, and here there is a pause, a long pause, the kind of pause that contains several things he doesn't know how to say. You listen to it 3 times. When you've been alone with your work long enough to actually build something, you don't stop wanting it. That would be a cleaner story. You still want it, but you don't need it to confirm that what you've done is real. The work confirmed that, the screen confirmed that, and you feel mostly just tired and quiet and a little sad in a way you can't quite articulate about how long it took the looking to start. You pay Danny back on a Thursday in March. $3,000 plus $400 interest he never asked for. You hand him a check at his kitchen table and he looks at it and then he looks at you and he says you didn't have to do the extra. You say you know, he nods and doesn't push it. Danny is a good person who made a good faith loan to someone he believed in more than he probably should have, and the least he deserves is a return that acknowledges that. The broker debt, $6,200 to Webble's predecessor, a debt that sat in the back of your mind for 14 months like a low-grade fever. You clear it in full. There's a confirmation email. You screenshot it, not for posting, just for yourself. Evidence that it's done, that it has an end. You sit down with your parents on a Sunday. Your mom makes dinner. You eat it, actually sit at the table and eat it while it's hot instead of taking your plate back to your room. And then after, you open the laptop and you show them the account statement. Not to brag. You show them because they borrowed $40,000 against this house for a degree you've barely used, and they deserve to know what that money actually bought. It didn't buy the business administration credential from a school with a discount paper diploma. It bought the desperation. The desperation bought the 2 a.m. YouTube spiral. The spiral bought the first $600 deposit. The $600 bought the education, the real one, the one that cost far more than $600 and took far longer than any semester. It bought eventually this. Your dad looks at the statement for a long time. He's not fast with numbers, he's a logistics man, a physical world man, a man who understands things by lifting them. He doesn't fully understand what he's looking at. He nods slowly and he reaches over and he squeezes your shoulder. He doesn't say anything. You're not rich. You have a positive net worth for the first time in your adult life. You have a strategy that works, a risk framework that holds, and a loss journal with 200 entries that represents the most expensive and most valuable education you have ever received. You're 22. The account says $63,000. By any external measure, this is the beginning, not the destination. You know that. Knowing it doesn't make you anxious. You close the laptop. You walk to the window. The street where you grew up is exactly as it always was. Same cracked driveway, same broken sign 2 blocks down, same amber light from the same street lamps. A kid on a bicycle rides past and you watch him until he turns the corner. Nothing out there has changed. The difference is entirely behind your eyes.